Survivor Specialist Phil and Will are back with the episode 11 predictions?
12, I think, yeah.
I'll never get it right. What was last week? Did that count as one or two?
I think you counted as 2 episodes. It was just 2 episodes aired back to back, but I think that was 11 and 12. At least when I did the thumbnail.
It only had one episode title though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was the $1 Million Gamble, which I think is something that Jay said when he talked about not playing his idol, but it turns out that it went to Rock. So that's actually a perfect title, and it applied to both episodes. So maybe they're just like, damn, we got ourselves a perfect title. If anyone had Jay getting a title in the prop bet game, you get points for that. Phil, unfortunately, has some computer issues, and he's the prop bet scorer, so we don't have those updated. And for all the new people listening, we do a lot of fantasy games where you get to participate and can win buffs. So if you don't know what we're talking about when we say prop bet game or bootless game, they're just fantasy games that you can play next season. We hope you join us. I'll get the bootless updated later. But yeah, that is interesting. I guess it was only one episode. I titled the recap 11 and 12, or 10 and 11 last week.
10 and 11.
And that was in the thumbnail too. And then for tonight, I did episode 12 predictions. Because it's not one episode. I mean, really, it's not. I don't know.
I don't know though. After Chris went home, it kind of just edited together. They just had to go, like right into the next part. They had her speak, but they didn't like say stay tuned for the next episode or like whatever, because they used to do that when it was 2 separate episodes. They just went right into it.
Right. I wonder, what was it in Cambodia? Was that 2 separate ones?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Either way, we are going to predict what happens on this upcoming episode on Wednesday. Very, very fun spot right now. Obviously, we just had the rocks. We have, trust clusters, voting blocks, whatever you want to call it. People are playing hard. They're mixing and matching their alliances. Everyone's having a good time. No one's getting their feelings hurt out here, which is great to see. So allows people to just play harder, and it makes power rankings pretty tough. It wasn't easy for me this week. But usually when, big stuff happens like this, you kind of have that return to normalcy, at least for one vote. So yeah, let's kick this thing off. Who do you got at number 1?
I have Jay at number 1. He has the idol.
Wow.
Everybody knows. Well, here's the thing.
Oh, man.
He has the idol. Everybody knows he has the idol. He knows that everybody knows he has the idol. So I think like Jay is in a pretty good spot where it's like, he was really able to figure out in that first one, like, they're not even talking about me, so I'm not going home. Like, I know it's not going to be me. In the second one, he wins immunity. He's the biggest immunity threat, I think, out there. And he's got an idol. How is he going to go home? I don't know where he lies on these numbers, but it looks like Will might want to jump over to David. And if Will jumps over to David's side, I don't think Jay is completely sold on, like, I need to go through this entire game with Zeke and Sunday and Brett. Like, I don't think he really cares that much. I think Will is his number 1, and he can jump around wherever he wants to.
Right, and I agree with you. You know me, I'm high on Jay. I'm just surprised that you came out at the bat having him all the way at number 1. Since we really have gotten into this whole, because, trying to predict the winner this season has been extremely difficult, and I've been following up on Edgic much more than I usually do, and it's still, Jay's not getting much love. There are a few people that are saying, and I guess now he's one of the few contenders. But I'm still hoping for a Jay win. Hoping for an Adam win, but that just seems very unlikely. Obviously, we'll talk about Adam. I have Ken at number 1. This might sound high, but I don't think anyone's looking at Ken as a threat, even though he certainly is if he does make it to Final Tribal Council. But if he's sitting there next to Zeke or David or even Jay, I don't think he wins. We've obviously gotten a lot of good good edits from him early on, but it hasn't been there post-merge. So I just think right now he's sitting back, playing the game, not too hard. And I think people are saying, hey, let Ken chill. Even though he is an immunity threat and he is a social threat. I just don't think he ever made connections with millennials, and not enough of them to win the jury vote, and I think people are realizing that.
I don't know, though, because it looks like he bonded with Hannah. It looks like he bonded with Adam.
Yeah,
it seems like he tried to bond with Taylor a little bit, although he probably didn't buy it. Like, seems like he kind of talked to Taylor at least. Like, I think Ken's getting along with everybody, but you don't always win the game by being likable.
Yeah, I'm talking about the people, I guess, the people who are already on the jury. I don't think Michelle and Taylor are going to vote for Ken.
Chris and Jess could, though.
Chris, I don't think will. I don't think Chris and Ken were never really on the same side ever. maybe just right at the merge when they had that like 9 majority. Jessica definitely would go Ken's way. I don't know. I do think people out there currently are Ken on people's radars? I guess what I'm asking. And when I ask myself that question, I'm going a resounding no. There's so many other threats. There are idols to worry about. There are advantages. There's just so much going on for Ken. He just doesn't draw that much attention. So I feel pretty safe putting Ken at number 1 here.
Yeah, and I put him at number 2. And the reason why I think Ken is extra safe this week is because last week David's idol got played. Nobody knows Adam has an idol. They're like, okay, David doesn't have an idol now. He's not. If we want to vote David off, we can just vote David off. We don't have to vote for Ken. We can just vote for David. We don't have to throw our votes at somebody else. So I actually think Ken and Hannah are both pretty safe this week, especially Ken though. Like, who is Ken really gonna? I don't think anybody thinks Ken's gonna win this game, and I'm surprised so many people on the internet still think Ken can win, because I completely lost it. And I defended him for a long time against you, who you were saying from the very beginning he had no chance. I just don't see it anymore. Like, with all these other edits we're getting, there's 5 better edits than his, I feel like. Maybe 4, whatever. There's enough.
Yeah, we will actually get to our 3-3-3. Anytime the tribes are divisible, or the number of players left are divisible by 3, we do a 3-by-3 where we do the favorites, the kind of middle of the road contenders, and then people have no chance. We will get to that later. And again, comment on our last video if you want to comment live on YouTube. We'll read those comments, or tweet at us and we'll read those comments. You can feel free to use it, talk amongst each other, but we will not read that. It's such a pain to go through and curate those. So yeah, I have Jay at number 2. So we have the same 1 and 2 here. I agree with you. The idol is, it's huge for Jay. And like you said, everyone knows that he has it, and everyone knows he has it, all these things. The only reason I don't have him at 1 is because he's held on to it. He had immunity at the last one. I think before that, that's 3 tribal councils in a row where he probably could have been a target. I guess on the Michelle one, he wasn't really fully aware what was going on. But those last 2, he held on to it. And if he gets a little cocky and he's like, okay, I'm feeling good, especially when they do know about the idol, their goal is going to be to convince Jay that he's safe. And if they can convince Jay he's safe, he might just, keep it in his pocket, and they send Jay home. So,
but you don't feel that this is still David versus Zeke?
Oh, I do. Yeah. But if it comes to a point where, let's say everyone shifts over to David and Zeke's kind of left, he might turn into the new Jay, where it's like he has no numbers. We can get him out later. Let's try to get Jay's idol out. Jay's idol is now becoming more – the fewer people that are left in this game, the more impactful an idol is, especially because Jay can win immunity. If I'm David, and let's say I have, Hannah and Ken and Adam locked up, and it looks like Will is going that way. You never know what Brett and Sunday are going to do. Trying to make a play to save his own ass. He can say, look, I know I'm a threat, but Jay's got an idol. He's a huge challenge threat, a huge social threat. Look at the jury right now with the votes that Jay has, especially with Michelle, Taylor, who knows where Chris would go, but at least those first 2 jury members are 100% locks for Jay if he makes it to the final. So that might be an argument used against Jay and his idol.
Yeah, it can be, but I just feel like Jay almost fell off people's radars a little bit, because I feel like David and Zeke are number 1 and number 2 on people's trying to get out. I feel like Adam, whatever happens at this family thing, if he does steal this reward, which I'm not necessarily saying he's going to, this could just be, they've played it up for so long and now it's like, oh, maybe it'll happen. But if Adam does do that, then he's going to be on people's radars. And why I'm not really so worried about Jay is because Zeke might try to say, guys, look, let's get rid of Jay's idol. But who are they going to vote for if they know that they're going to have to split it because Jay's going to play the idol? They're going to want to offset it, and they're going to end up throwing votes at Zeke. So I think, like, Jay, he's going to be able to feel – I feel like he's going to be able to know it. He is a little cocky, but I don't think he's cocky enough that – like, I think at the one, they made it blatant that he wasn't going. This next one, I don't think it's going to be as blatant.
Right. And, I have Jay at number 2. I just think there's a higher chance – that they try to flush Jay's idol, and Jay's like, hey, I'm feeling good. There's a higher chance of that happening than Ken somehow winding up with a majority of the votes. I just don't see how we have, 9 people left. Ken's going to have to get 5 votes what 5 people are writing Ken's name down here? I don't see that happening at all. So that's my only explanation there. I think they're both looking good. At number 3, I have Hannah. She's someone who has definitely come up as more of a social threat, but at this point, it is still David and Zeke are the main targets. Everyone knows this. It's been said so many times. You usually don't hear it public. You might hear people say it in a confessional. You obviously hear people like us talking about it if you go online. But for people in the game having these open conversations, like David's the number 1 threat in this game. No, Zeke's the number 1 threat in this game. And it was kind of throughout almost those full 2 hours, maybe just the second hour, but it was said a lot. And people are fully aware that these 2 people are, the people that they can't let get to final tribal council. So I think Hannah is in a pretty good spot here. And just because she didn't vote with Zeke and that kind of, it looked like that bridge is kind of burned, maybe that trust cluster, there's a little piece of that left that Hannah can go back to Zeke if she feels David's not, being 100% honest with her. So there's a lot that can happen, but I think Hannah will be safe for this episode.
Yeah, I feel like Hannah is probably going to be safe. I have her at number 4. I have Adam at 3, and I know that they're playing up this. He's going to steal the loved one and all of that, but 1, he's got the idol. So if he does steal this loved one visit, he's going to know that this is putting a target on his back. And this is probably going to be when he reveals that his mother has cancer. And I know that when Todd revealed that his sister had a miscarriage in China, nobody believed him. I don't feel like anybody's going to think that Adam is lying. This isn't like fair play actually saying somebody died. This is like my mom has cancer and you're not saying she died. You're just saying that she has it and you want an update and all of that. That's way different, I feel like. And I do think that if he does steal this, I hope he plays out the challenge because I want to see it actually go down. So maybe he can just win it and he doesn't have to steal it from anybody. That would be nice. But I still don't think he goes though. Cause like, he's got the idol and he's going to know. So why, if he didn't play it after stealing that, you would have to feel some shift around you after stealing the loved one visit.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes because I was saying earlier when it kind of, the cat came out of the bag when Taylor revealed that Adam had this advantage. At some point, it's going to be like, all right, do you want to just let Adam win this? Like, we know, why am I going to bust my ass to win this challenge when I know Adam's going to take it from me? And if he goes in to this challenge, at the start saying, look, guys, my mom has cancer. And I think they would believe Adam. I think it's way different than a miscarriage or anything. And I think just people know Adam by this point. We see him get back to tribal council last week at the start of the 2 hours and say, he apologized. He says, I couldn't tell you guys about it because he knew my secret. He was very upfront about it. I think for the most part, Adam's been pretty honest in this game. I mean, it is Survivor. Everyone's lied. But I don't know. He's like a 23, 24-year-old kid. I don't think they're going to say, okay, Adam, you're making that up. So I think the combination, right? So you have someone saying their mom has cancer. That alone, people might throw the challenge. In addition, he's going to steal it from you anyway. So maybe they just give it to Adam and he doesn't have to use it. The only problem there, you probably want to force him to use it so he can't use it later.
They would make him use it.
So, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I hope it doesn't turn around to be like the end of his game, but it is imagine being out there and this is your dream play Survivor. You don't want to jeopardize your game, but at the same time, you're going through possible situation. So for him to get this advantage thing, it just makes everything tougher. I don't have him as high as you, but I think he'll probably make it through this episode.
Well, like I said, I have Hannah at 4. I think you kind of covered it. I think last week she dodged the bullet, and I think she's going to be okay for a little bit now because I think they're going to target David. They might target Adam. I don't think they're going to target Ken, but they could even target and then it could be like Will who gets targeted, or maybe somehow the numbers go against Brett because I still don't know where Brett and Sunday sit. But I don't think it's Hannah this week. Like, she's not really David's right-hand woman. It was just they didn't think she had an idol. That's really what it came down to.
Right. So this might sound high, but at 4, I actually have David. And I just think his alliance, even though he lost Jessica, the people he has are so much more with him. I think Adam is genuinely with him. I think Hannah is genuinely with him. Ken's obviously with him, like that's 100%. So that's 4 people that are actually on lock. All you need to do is pull over one person out of Jay, who will go anywhere. Will, who seems like he's expressing interest, and then Zeke. If he's trying to save his own butt, then maybe he might even go back to David, and try to throw Jay's name out there, or even someone like Brett. I don't know. I mean, Zeke's playing this game hard. He's not going to go down without, because even though Zeke won in the rock draw, I don't think he has like this 5. Like he's not holding on to this 5, and it's going to take out the other 4. I think it's honestly a given at this point. And sometimes, I think even just 2 seasons ago, if that happened, we would put the 4 people on the bottom and say maybe they would turn around. Now I'm expecting that 5 not to stay together.
Well, because if you look at that 5, it is Jay and Will who are tight. It's Sunday and Brett who are tight. And then it's Zeke. And Zeke and Brett had a bonding moment, but Zeke and Sunday aren't that tight. Zeke is not tight with Jay or Will. Like that's been said numerous times throughout the show. Like, so who does Zeke really have out there now? Once he loses Hannah, Zeke's kind of a lone wolf right now. Zeke's really on his own. He burned the bridge with David too soon, and I feel like everybody was giving Jay a hard time for getting rid of Michaela. I think Zeke getting rid of or targeting David here, I think it was too soon. I really do, because he has no alliance now. He lost Chris, and then he lost any option to play with David in back-to-back episodes. Those were his 2 closest allies. That was established on that beach, and now who does he have? He doesn't have anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to. And look, if we give Zeke crap for turning on David too early and defend Jay, we are not going to hear the end of it from the commenters. And if you want to hear some Jay defense, you can go back and watch the other podcasts that were after the Michaela boot and after the merge and those things. But I think the biggest problem was him going along with Chris. He was the swing vote in the Chris boot. He could have saved Chris if he wanted to. But at the point where it was after that, the second hour, Brett straight up came and said, hey, look, like David wants you out of here. And it's, how do you not go after David at that point? Like what are you supposed to do in that situation? Like, I don't know how to play it differently by Zeke. I mean, I think not having Chris right there was the biggest fault of Zeke, not going after David, even though he doesn't have David to work with, and David does have the numbers right now. I really think he has so much more trust with his, trust cluster. Let's say that David's got the trust cluster, and Zeke's just got a voting block. Maybe that's it.
I think that's right. I think if you really want to call it something that's more normal, I think that David kind of has an alliance.
There we go.
Zeke doesn't. Yeah, I think it's plain and simple an alliance. I think Zeke has it, I think David has it, and Zeke doesn't. Plain and simple. I don't see Zeke working together with that. Those are 2 groups of 2 that just happened to vote with Zeke to try to get rid of an idol or whatever. That's why I was so shocked last week went to Rocks, because none of them were that tight with Zeke. Really weird.
Right. And we talked about that at length. If you haven't checked out our recap, definitely do so. I was pretty tired and a little bit out of it towards the end there. It was like 2:30 on the East Coast. I'm pretty tired now. I just got back from North Carolina today. So a little tired tonight too. But I think definitely I actually rewatched the episodes today at the airport. So kind of a better thinking mind today. Okay. At 5, I have Adam. We've kind of talked about Adam enough. He's got an idol. I think he's probably good. Here. Not much else to say.
Yeah, at 5, I have Sunday. I was really surprised with how high you had David, but I have Sunday at 5. Once again, I mean, Sunday's playing, it seems like, but it also seems like people are underestimating Sunday. So if they do turn on this group, they're going to turn on Brett, I think, before they turn on Sunday. I think Brett, even though he's not coming across necessarily as a strategic player, I think people just might look at Brett as somebody like he's really likable. Although at the last tribal, he was kind of rude. But, like, I could see them just being like, let's get rid of Brett before Sunday. I also could see them targeting, like, Jay or Will. Like, I already explained why I have Jay as high as I do. Or they're targeting Zeke if they do turn these numbers. I think Sunday is somebody who could work with these people. I think Sunday is somebody who could work with Adam, who could work with Hannah, who could work with Ken. I mean, maybe not Ken so much, but I could see her getting in with, like, maybe Adam and Hannah. And that could go somewhere because, like, she's been open to that. I don't see Brett necessarily making that first move to go work with Hannah or Adam, especially after how ridiculous he acted at the last tribal.
Right, and it's just in terms of people, you think you can beat at tribal. I think people are like, okay, I can beat Sunday over I can beat Brett. I can probably beat Sunday easier than I can beat Will. And again, we don't know how hard Will and Sunday and Brett are really playing this game. They're probably playing harder than it appears. I kind of have a feeling these three characters are going to go pretty soon. So I got them at the bottom, and I got Zeke here, and this might seem high too. I got Zeke at 6, just right below Adam. I still think Zeke's got more game left in him, and he is the villain of the season, and I don't think the villain's going out in 9th place. I think he's going to last at least one more episode. I think there's a reason why Zeke was brought back, and I know he's been fun so far, but I just don't feel like that's happened yet. So
what was that?
Did you? I think
no. I heard you. I heard you. What was that though? Did you mean to say that?
Yeah. Oh, it's everywhere in our comments. Like totally got. I mean.
Okay, as long as you're okay with saying. I know we've been not saying it for a while, but yeah, I've known that.
Oh, it's all over. I mean,
okay.
I couldn't. It's not. I was reading stuff that was supposed to be unspoiled, and it's out in the open.
Yeah, it's been common knowledge since before the season started.
Yeah, I mean, I went as long as I could. I think it was last week. It was in our comments. I think someone even wrote in the comment, Will doesn't know, but Phil does. Will doesn't want to be spoiled. And someone replied to that comment, Zeke's coming back. It's like,
yeah.
I do read the comments, but honestly, I was already leaning that way anyway. But I'm expecting something more from Zeke still, even though he's been good. He's been good.
See, we're in a tricky position here where for our eliminator game, Will only has Brett last week. But at the same time, it's so boring if we both take Brett. Like, it's so boring. So I don't want to do that. Like, I'd rather, like, make it a little dramatic and, like, if I lose, I lose. But, like, I really am, like, I have Will at 6, which might seem high for Will, but I'm behind you in the power rankings, and I have a feeling you have him at 9. So I'm putting Will at 6.
Actually,
he looks like he's in the middle. What?
I have Brett at 9. I have my eliminator pick at 9 in last place. I have Will at 8.
Okay, and then Sunday at 7.
Yep. Sunday, just one thing. I think her story is over. She got to go on her helicopter ride, and they kind of played that up, and that was Sunday's goal in this game. I don't think it was necessarily to win or play her hardest, though she might be doing that. But they really highlighted, like, I came out here, and I really wanted to play Survivor, but I also really wanted to go on a helicopter. And so she's done that. She's checked that box off. This could be a fitting time for Sunday to go. I don't know exactly how Sunday would go, but if she starts playing hard and she's kind of lying and she gets caught in the middle, people could say, hey, we got to watch out for Sunday. Maybe if, Jay plays an idol, if Adam plays an idol, and I don't think Adam has any relationship to Sunday, so maybe Adam steals his reward. People are pissed. He gets the votes. No one sees Adam's idol coming, and he bumps out Sunday. Who knows? I think Sunday's more likely to go. But yeah, I had Brett all the way at number 9. I think he's with 2 idols out here. Again, we've said it all season. He's like a perfect, idol boot guy.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes so much sense. I have Will at 6. I do think Will is in some trouble this week, but I could see him. He's playing so much in the middle. I don't think anybody's looking at Will as a threat to win. I don't think people trust Will, but I don't think they're looking at him as a threat to win. I think they have so much against Will right now. The fact that he just told everybody about Jay's idol, the fact like he really hasn't done all that much. I think they like him, but I don't think they're like, oh my God, this guy's going to win this whole thing. I got Zeke at 7. I don't know. I just don't want to put my eliminator pick at 9 like you are. But Zeke, I kind of agree with you. If Zeke's coming back next season, we finally started to get the uptick, I feel like, last week. Like, those 2 episodes were huge for Zeke. And now, like, I'm ready to see like the next move. And maybe it's just one really crazy episode here and then he's done. But I feel like there's going to be a little bit more. I got Brett at 8. I think Brett is like a perfect person to just kick out here. It just makes sense after how crazy last week was. Like, to see like a smaller character who's really just been played up as like the town drunk on this season.
So wait, let me get this straight. You have David at number 9. You're doing this just to come back because I have him at 4.
I had him at 9 beforehand. I was not expecting you to put him at 4.
Oh, I think David's I mean, I think he's the front runner to win right now. I've obviously defended Jay, and I think it's between David and Jay, but he's just got so many loyal people to him. I think Ken and Hannah, they would do anything to save David. Honestly, like they love the guy, and when you have that many people that are just on your side, it's so beneficial. And I think Zeke has none of that. So we'll see, but I think David's fine.
I mean, I have him at 9. I think that if there is going to be a time that David goes, if he's not going to win, I think it's going to be right now.
Okay. I could see him going, 6th, 5th, 4th maybe. Probably not 4th, but
it's already Adam, isn't it? Hasn't everybody already said that?
Adam's the 4th
placer. Not a spoiler. This is not a spoiler. I just feel like that's like what every single person has assumed based on his edit so far.
I would probably say it's Jay or Zeke right now is the 4th place. Like the person that's not really in. It's going to be like Ken, Hannah, and David. And then that's going to be your final 3. And then Jay or Zeke, whichever one is remaining, will get they'll lose the immunity and will lose out at 4th place.
So you're saying Ken, Hannah, David's the final 3. That's your prediction here. Final 9, that's your prediction.
I mean, at final 9, that's the best prediction I can make. Obviously, if Jay wins, he has to be in the final 3, but it just comes down to last immunity. So if Jay's there at 4 and he wins immunity, then I think he goes on to win the game. David goes out. I think Ken is getting such a finalist loser edit. Maybe runner-up, maybe not runner-up, but he's just from his very emotional pre-merge stuff, I think he will make it to the finale. And then that Hannah, I watched the episode at the end, that Hannah Ken scene, just so bizarre. And you had to remind me about it, or a commenter reminded us about it during the recap, and just watching it again, that stuck out like a sore thumb. And it kind of, I don't know, they're on the beach, the sunrise, it almost had like day 39 vibes. But we read into everything and we're often wrong. But this is the predictions episode, making predictions.
Yeah, I'm glad that's what we're doing on this. You want to rip through this 3-3-3? We're going to have the exact same 3-3-3. So you want to just rip through this?
Sure. I'm down to rip through it. I don't know if it'll be the exact same. All right, bottom tier. I have Sunday all the way at the bottom. Then Will, then Brett. That's the bottom 3.
I mean, I think that's blatant at this point.
Right.
I think those are blatantly the bottom 3.
Those 3 people are not winning. Then we get to the middle. I have Ken at what is that? 6. I have Adam at 5. Actually, I probably have Adam at 4, Zeke at 5. Zeke, there's a lot of negativity on Zeke last week, especially at that tribal council, the second one. And some word, Hannah called him condescending, and it wasn't a positive edit for Zeke, and it didn't seem like these things were forced in there. And then for the top 3, which I think I said this after the merge, that these are the only 3 people that had a shot to win. I have Hannah at 3, Jay at 2, David at 1. But I still have my preseason winner pick of Jay. That's still live, just because after seeing 11 episodes of the show, I do think David is the most likely to win. But I do have hopes for Jay, and I'm putting them at number 1 and 2. So I don't know. I could put Jay at 1 just to say, hey, I had him the whole time. Let me do that. I got Jay number 1. Let's make it fun.
Do what I did with Michelle. Troll. It's the best way to go about it.
Jay had a nice 2 episodes. He was getting he was getting a good amount of confessionals that really weren't needed. He wasn't the target for either episode. Obviously, one because he had immunity, but he kept getting little snippets in there. Definitely a little bit of the millennial cockiness after winning the challenge, but other than that, it was all positive, all insightful. And then, David just killed it with his, I want to sit out the reward challenge, then goes on to win immunity. And, he came out better looking in that vicious tribal council. So I think it's one of them too.
Yeah, I have the same bottom 3, Sunday, Will, Brett. Middle, I go Ken, Adam, Zeke. So I have Adam and Zeke flipped. Just feel like Adam's got to take more of an upturn. Zeke, yeah, sure, he was a little negative last week, but Adam was pretty negative the 2 before that. I wouldn't count Adam or Zeke out, though. I think you can almost count Ken out. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but I really think you can count Ken out now.
I think you can count Ken out. Also, you can probably count Adam and Zeke out too. I think it's one of those three.
Yeah, I've Hannah 3, David 2, Jay 1. We have the same top.
Just the thing about the difference between Adam and Zeke, Adam was making game errors, and that was kind of highlighted. He was playing too hard, and maybe that's a correction that he can make and take on the win. That would, I guess, would have to happen. We're kind of getting a little late here. For Zeke, though, it's not. I mean, these are like personality things, in like the way he comes across. So they're a little bit different in their negativity. One was like bad game moves. The other was, character stuff. But we're kind of in agreement. So you have David number 1, right? That's what you said.
No, I have Jay at 1.
Oh, you have Jay at 1. Wow. So you're joining the troll train with me. Awesome.
I mean, you know what? I've been saying I think David's going to win. And then what happened last week is, I know you said like you felt like Jay came across negative after the immunity challenge. I just think that's the way Jay talks. And if that's what he said, and he does end up running the table with these fools, then he runs the table and he calls them fools while he does it. And they got to throw that in. And he's not saying it to them. He's been very nice to everybody. If you start getting the negativity there, yeah, he called Adam an asshole. That happened. He said that. But he did not say that to Adam. Adam has had the negativity where when he talks to Taylor, it sounds like he's being arrogant. When he talks to Jay, it sounds like he's being arrogant. Zeke, he had that whole moment where he's making fun of David's anxiety. We have never, ever gotten that from Jay. And in those last 2 episodes, when his back was the most against the wall, and it probably should have been, he almost got a little bit cockier to the point of like, look, I'm not even like a target at this point. How am I doing this? And then you got David, who's getting so worried and so beat down. I feel like it was like he's crying and he's doing whatever. He wins immunity. And the next episode, it's like, I got to get rid of Zeke. And he failed there. You know what I mean? Like, he actually did fail in that moment. And I know that, like, you're going to fail on your way to winning the game. But I think Jay was more positive in that second episode than David was.
Yeah, no, I think I'm just looking at who's left obviously with the other 2. Just Jay, the path to getting to a final 3 is way tougher for Jay than it is for David. Like I said, David has people like Ken is never writing David's name down. I don't think Hannah is ever writing David's name down. That's just so helpful. I don't think there's anyone left that is saying they won't write Jay's name down. Anyone would write Jay's name down at this point. He's already been labeled as a threat. One thing that could be a knock on David's edit is that they did highlight Hannah saying, I have a feeling it's me. And he says, no, that's you being, paranoid. That's your anxiety. And she's like, no, like this is more than a feeling. Like the votes are coming to me. You're going to have to play your idol on me. And he's like, kind of no. And then he plays it on Ken. And then he says, darn it. And so They didn't have to show that conversation. And if David went on to win, if David does go on to win, I'm going to be kind of curious why the editors left that in. Obviously, it makes Hannah look really good. And that's also, I think Hannah will eventually be in the final 3. I think she'll be a losing final 3 castaway. But yeah, let's roll with Jay at 1. I lie because I'm telling you, I looked up on just people's Edgic stuff on their little charts, and the contenders it's pretty much David running it. With splashes of Hannah and like very few Jays, but let's roll with Jay here.
Yeah, I mean we'll see we'll see how this shapes up. But I also look at this jury. I could see Ken being in the final 3 sitting next to David. I don't see Jay making the final 3 sitting next to Will. So Jay's got 3 votes right away already because Will's not going to be there. So if Jay makes the final 3, yeah, it's going to be a big 10-person jury, so you're going to need more than 3. But he's already got Will, Michelle, and Taylor going into it. Locked.
Right. And I think the whole lone wolf element, I think people actually respect that. And Jay was up on people's radars right at the merge. And everyone who was on that, who will be on that jury, was there and was aware of what's going on. And for those people to be sitting on the jury looking at Jay, how the heck is he still here? He had to have done something right. And I think people will give him tremendous credit. So he could pull jury votes from people who just kind of sat in the majority alliance and sat with their people the entire game. Someone like Ken, even if Ken is super super likable and endearing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go over to comments because we got a lot of them. We'll start over on YouTube, and then we'll go. There's not as many Twitter, I don't believe, but anyway, Anthony Beam The ending, the suspense, the intrigue, the inability to remain seated on my futon bed, very fitting it was. Just wow, no one flipped. LVP Hannah for not lying to Zeke and for betraying him too early. MVP Dave for just sitting back and letting everybody else implode on each other. Also, Brett is so funny. Hope he lasts a while longer and wins more beer.
Yeah, Brett has become a good character. He's very mixed too. He was really heated at that tribal council, which was, I mean, it's at least interesting. It's never you want people getting bullied, but it did add some spiciness to that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Brett's much longer.
I really don't think I have him at 9 for a reason. I think Brett is. I fear for Brett so much, and if I could pick anyone else for my eliminator pick, I would, but I've used everyone else. So.
All right, Anthony Beam. Even though I voted Hannah LVP, she's still adorable and my favorite player, so that's fun. Twisty Pops, amazing episode. I had Hannah as my winner pick since the beginning, and I think she might do it. Elite Brothers 885, weird edit from Brett this episode. His edit was all positive energy through the episode until the second tribal where he seemed grumpy and villainous. To which Kyle Stone replied, "People are complex." What do you read?
There you go.
I love that. I love that.
I think that comment's the best explanation. I don't think much more needs to be said. I mean, sure, they edit these characters in ways that, they want the audience to perceive them. But when you have good drama and you have some good, some bad, I mean, that's everybody. No one's perfect. And most people usually aren't all bad either. So there's going to be good parts from the bad people, bad parts from the good people. And I think everyone on this cast is no one's like a bad person. It's, it's Survivor, man. It gets heated.
The thing is, and I just said Zeke had a negative moment at Tribal. You're not going to hide those negative moments from Brett and Zeke at Tribal Council. That's the most exciting part of the episode was that Tribal and the craziness. So of course you're going to put that in. You can't hide that. I would look more at they are showing Brett as goofy and fun. So I would say they're trying to do more positive, but you're not going to leave out him at Tribal yelling at everybody. And you're not going to leave out Zeke doing it because it's adding so much drama to what's about to take place and giving you a bit of a rooting interest, and the side that you were probably rooting for lost.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty devastation, or there was a lot of, devastation coming from not only a lot of the fans, but just looking at the reactions, even from people like Zeke and even from the jury. They're like, oh no, Jessica. They felt genuinely bad for even people that weren't on her side. So if the players out there who voted against that alliance are feeling sad for Jessica, then, the audience is feeling sad for Jessica too. And David and Ken have been the underdogs the entire time. That's kind of been their position and role in this game. So yeah, build up Zeke and Brett as the nasty people. Have them, it's like in a movie. The main character just gets beat up, and then at the end they win somehow. And, Jessica drew the bad rock. That doesn't mean, the underdogs are done.
Yeah, just means Jessica's done. Elite Brothers 885, he puts his power rankings, but I just want to draw attention. He says Jay at number 1 has an idol. I predict he'll go on an immunity run. And he also had Ken at 2. And this is the thing with Jay. He is so well positioned to win a lot of immunities. And I know there's a lot of puzzles and everything, but he ripped through that second challenge so fast, and that was puzzles. That was not something that was just pure physical strength. Jay's been good at challenges all throughout. And they got rid of Chris last week. Taylor's gone. Michelle, who was good at puzzles, is gone. And Jessica, who was really strong in these challenges, is gone. He really got Ken left. And I know David won an immunity and everything like that. But most of the time, people like David, they get one. They normally don't win more than one. And he very well could. But do you see Hannah winning any challenges, really? Because if there's a physical portion, I think she falls too far behind to catch up in the puzzle.
Adam, do you see Sunday winning?
Yeah.
Do you see Brett winning?
You know what I mean? This is very positive for Jay. And yeah, Ken can win, but Ken's starting to show a little he was very good. He won the one challenge, but last week I thought that challenge that David won was all Ken. And he was one of the first people out. So I think Ken, it just really depends on when his head's in it and when it's not.
I think it comes down to if these challenge are the endurance ones where you're balancing or holding something, like with the David bamboo stick challenge, which is a really cool challenge. I think Jay has not a good shot at those. Those aren't meant for someone like Jay. Anything else though, he's got to be the favorite to win. And we get big mazes and we, get closer to the end. obstacle courses, multiple stage, or it's physical, throwing bags, hand-eye coordination, anything like that. I pick Jay above anybody else. So it'll be interesting to see what these challenges are. But you're right, that challenge last week, that was all mental, and I think he was the only one using his hands to find the path before moving the stick. Everyone was just moving the stick, and if they hit a dead end, they retrace their steps. He was doing the whole thing with his hands and then flying through it. Which was,
and I think people
really
started doing that. It just took them a little bit to get going on that. He did it right away.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here. Brian, thanks for still doing your recap, guys. I was gutted Jessica went, hoping it would be Brett Sunday or Will. Also, Zeke was a major arsehole at the second tribal. Have a cry. F off. I hope Zeke goes soon. I think a lot of people turned on Zeke last episode when he did that to David at the tribal.
Yeah, and that's why I have him below Adam in the winner rankings, just because, I could probably maybe put him below Kent. The winner, like we see villain winners, like Tony or like Hatch or Heidick, Tyson, they usually aren't they're like deceiving and manipulative, like Parvati, but you don't have like the blatant, insults and attacks.
Tyson,
especially that one on Katie. That was about it. But was Katie the hero that season and the underdog? Not really. These were attacks at David, who's kind of the shining star and the, kind of the golden boy of this season, at least so far.
Yeah. Brian, I agree with Phil. One of my favorite casts in a while. So many to root for. GZG abuse. MVP Jay, because I predict he walks backwards into a win. And then he says, wow, this actually was a good podcast. Thanks, GZG abuse. I'm glad that we finally got your approval.
Wow.
Finally got there.
I think, this guy has commented before. So, clearly. Clearly is come back for a reason. So that must have not been the first actually good one, or at least I hope not.
Otherwise, maybe he just likes average things, and he's just waiting for that breakthrough, and we finally gave it to him. Austin Ketchum, LVP David, wasted idol, MVP Jay, even though I hate to say it. I did not tally up the MVPs, so that's why I'm kind of looking at it now. I think Jay wins MVP, though, and I think David is LVP. I think a lot of people were just basing it on the idol play.
Yeah, which is fine. Jay, it seems like Jay has the most MVP votes in a landslide. So.
Yeah, and he's on my team, so I'll take that. Sports show, can you guys do a 3-3-3 for the final 9? Asking you shall receive. We did it maybe 10 minutes ago. Austin Ketchum, why didn't Will flip his vote, and why did no one talk to him at Tribal to try to sway him or Jay's or make sure they were on board with the plan? So weird. This is kind of what I was a little weirded out by. Why did nobody try to pull Will? Is Will that tight with Brett Sunday and Zeke that he would never vote with the others? And now it seems like he wants to flip over. Why didn't they try to get him?
Honestly, this might come down to just seating position at Tribal. Will was on the very end. I know Brett was right there. Maybe Brett is not the one to think that quickly, but Zeke was on the other end. Sunday was kind of in the middle. I just don't think they were spaced really properly to really get in Will's ear. It would have been just Brett. And what if Brett and they're voting together now. What have Brett and Will talked about? Is Will going to change his vote because Brett says something? If anything, Will should have figured this out for himself and changed his vote. That's what you'd hope.
Yeah. No, you would think. And he was the first one to jump up and say, we don't want to draw the rocks. It's you should have changed your vote. You had the least amount to lose. He still keeps Jay. That's what's important right now. Anyway, Jeff Steinberg, worst rock draw ever and stupidest. I see why Tyson and Sierra drew rocks, but Jess, still a good episode, though. And this is what a lot of people are saying about a lot of the people who drew rocks. Adam, Jess, Will. Jay had the immunity, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but a lot of people with a lot to lose and not much to gain.
Right. I think David is I get why David did it. And I get why Jay didn't want to, he was safe. But anyone else, I think you have an argument to make. You should have switched your vote.
Mm-hmm.
Even Brett and Sunday on the other side.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Jeff Steinberg, after the Taylor episode, who would have guessed that David would play the first 2 idols of the season and to top it off, they were both for someone other than himself? Yeah.
He's a selfless guy.
He is.
That David.
Somehow Jay and Adam still have idols. Jeff Steinberg, you realize David could have just saved Ken if he drew the wrong rock. Yeah, I mean, Ken could have drawn the wrong rock and gone home, and David also could have ended up really screwing himself there, playing the idol for Ken and then going home because he draws the wrong rock. That would have been very crazy.
Yeah, and that's why I know there's this big reaction to rocks. I was saying this in the last spot. I mean, imagine if David goes home having played the idol on Ken. Imagine if Adam goes home with an idol in his pocket. I mean, it could have been more explosive than it was, and I know Jessica was well liked. And it actually seemed like she thought she was going to win the game, and I think a lot of other people genuinely, thought that she was a big, big threat. I watched the episode again, as I've said, and I originally thought when Chris said it's 90% because she's a strategic threat, I was like, Chris, BS, man. Like, you just want to get her out because she voted out Paul. And he said 10%, that's the reason. I actually now genuinely believe that Jessica was a much bigger threat. And maybe I wasn't seeing it. I don't know how you were really feeling on Jessica. I always thought she was just kind of, she was a player and she was, in it for herself, but she was just kind of in the middle of this big Gen X alliance and wasn't really taking the game into her own hands. Clearly didn't take the game into her own hands enough last episode. But did you see her as like this big threat the whole time? Because she genuinely, like her Ponderosa, she was like, I thought I was going to win. And I think she genuinely thinks like if she drew a white rock, like she would go on to win the game, which maybe she could have. I don't know.
I think we put a lot on David saving her at the beginning, and we kind of wrote her off immediately after that. And I think she did make a great turnaround. I think she was genuinely likable. I think she made good relationships, and I think she made sound moves the rest of the game. So I think that she did have a chance to win. I really do. I think people respected her in challenges. I think they respected her social game and her strategic game. She got saved once, but it was so early that most of the millennials don't know that. Or if they do know that, they probably don't care.
They just don't care. It's so, it was a day 6 or day 9? No, day 9 maybe. So, yeah. I get it. I guess we did kind of say, hey, you have an idol played for you that saved you from getting out. That's going to be tough to get the $1 million, but especially if you're sitting next to David. But we'll never know.
No, we will not. I'm going to jump over to Twitter real quick. Stephen Holt says, Will's a real trooper staying up this late to podcast. It's fun to watch him struggle. Great TV. You guys really have arrived. Thanks, man. It was fun to watch Will struggle. I just watched like the last 5 minutes of that podcast over and over again. He was really hanging in there.
I think it was only at the end, though. I don't think it was a struggle the entire time. I mean, I'm obviously a little bit biased, but I think for the most part, it was okay. And then, I started trying to say like heavy hitters, or I said some words. I could not put them together.
Yeah, you were struggling. And then Stephen Holt says, I love it. You guys are both so telegenic, and now Adam and Jessica are both communicating with you. Try to get them on your show. And then the next day, Adam tweeted our video out. So thanks to Adam. Thanks to everybody who's retweeted that and helped us gain, because we did gain a pretty good amount from Friday through now. Like, we did pretty good.
Yeah, thank you to the new people. Hopefully you're listening. And big thanks to Adam. He will be on. He will be on for sure, and we'll go after. I mean, if Adam can, if he's friends with the other people still, unless he really pisses some people off,
really that bad.
Steals the loved one visit, and they won't talk to him. Hopefully, maybe we can talk to some of the other players.
Yeah. And anybody who's still commenting in the predictions and power in our video now in the live chat, we're not reading that. We're only reading the comments from last video. So if you want to comment there, we will read it. But going through the live chat comments is just the worst thing in the world. It's such a pain. It's really, really, really annoying. Anyway, let's see here. Patty Joe, great podcast. I think Will is going to try and get out Brett or Sunday due to a secret scene about reward comps. I don't really watch the secret scenes, and this week I had some computer issues. I'm still not on my computer, but so I haven't really had a chance to watch any of these things. And I guess like it's funny, like Will is definitely playing pretty hard. He just seems like he's running in circles.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the recap. Like he goes and blows up Jay's game with the idol, and it's like, okay, no one cares. Zeke and David have all this attention. The Gen X majority is imploding on each other. We got to get Chris out. We got to get Jessica out. And it's David. I mean, no one cared, and Will's trying to play hard, and it just does not seem to be working for him. I think he's going to play himself out of the game. From what it seems in exit interviews, he doesn't – I don't know. What he says doesn't hold much water just because he tries to gain trust too hard almost. And it's like, okay, you'll tell me anything at this point.
Yeah. No, it seems like he's almost like how like Wu was perceived on his season. People liked him. He was fun, but he was sneaky, and everybody knew it. Let's go to Steel Punch. Did not think Sunday and Hannah would be the last two women. Thought it would be Mari and Cece preseason. I said that Hannah and Sunday would be two of the first three women voted out of the game. So how right was I? I said Rachel, Sunday, and Hannah would be the first three women voted out preseason. So that just shows how spot on I was.
Yeah, and there's still that chance at a reverse One World finale, but doesn't seem like it. Really seems to me that Hannah is going to make the finale.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. Gamer Girl, do you think Brett's lies will be his downfall? I don't even know. I don't even know if they're ever going to come up with that and say, like, wow, you're not actually a cop. I just think kind of like, or you are actually a cop. I don't even think that's going to come up. I think he's already kind of just worked his way out of contention.
Yeah, and I think that was more than anything to build up Hannah. Again, back to Hannah. It made her look really good with having that observation that I think he's a cop. He's lying, and then she makes that really good observation last episode, saying, "I think the votes are coming my way. You should play that out for me." So Hannah's in the mix here.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dempsey Holloway, no, it's not painful reading through your comments. It's painful the way it's formatted. So see, I can still see it, but you got to comment on the other thing. It's so much easier to actually read. There, they disappear. We get LOLs and stuff, and it's really awful. Gamer Girl, I personally think there's something wrong if David doesn't win the whole thing, but that could just be me.
I think it's got to be him or Jay. Hannah is right. Maybe in the mix, but it would not shock me at all if David wins. It really would be it'd be a really funny story. I mean, Survivor would love it. I think a Jay win or would make like Survivor extremely happy, and Hannah too. Honestly, any of those three are like really unique winners. Especially, I think with Jay, we never see that like the Malcolm Ozzy character. Like they've never won the game before, it'd be cool to see that. And then Dave and Hannah are just complete underdogs, funny, likable people, relatable people. So,
and one thing with Hannah that I think is kind of getting forgotten about here is just how well she's connected with people. I mean, first episode they show her being the one who reached out to Michelle, or like Michelle and her were really bonding, and now you have her bonding with Ken. And I feel like they're setting up Hannah where it's like, it's almost like if she's going to win, she's going to win based on her social game more than her strategic game. And because the edit was like not fair enough to Michelle's social game and didn't really specify what socially she did so well, that like I'm almost thinking like Hannah could win this. And that's why they're showing all of these little scenes of Hannah bonding with Ken, bonding with Michelle, bonding with David, bonding even with Zeke until she ends up blowing it with Zeke. But I think this is more of a social win if she wins than a strategic one. I think they're trying to portray that as best they can, because last season they really did not give Michelle a fair share with the social game.
Right, and I'm now thinking back to, what was it, episode 3, the beginning when she wants to talk to Zeke, and that was we gave her a lot of flack for that one scene, and that argument and sitting alone, and Hannah came out on bottom of that, but now having that in our minds and we're predicting episode 12, it's like Zeke's now this kind of vicious villain out of nowhere, and that's kind of the only flaw that she had early. Other than that, she was a little bit under-edited, not much screen time, but and she was fighting against Zeke that early, that that could also help her. But this is, I think, at this point in any of the seasons we've podcasted, there haven't been this many people we can talk about and say, look, they can win this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I think, one or two people for the most part for almost every season we've done. We started in the middle of San Juan del Sur, which it was pretty much Natalie when we started. Mm-hmm. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, again, I think Adam will be in a lot of trouble again and possibly go home next week if he steals a family member. I just think with his idol, he's not going to go. He could get a target on him, but he's got the idol. Gamer Girl, again, who do you think told Jay that everyone knew he had the idol, or did Jay just trust his gut and not play it? I think he just trusted his gut. He kind of got that confessional where he said, nobody's talking about me. And I'm like, wait, if nobody's talking about me, why would I have to play this thing?
Yeah, and we also think, we're pretty sure, what episode was that? The Taylor boot, that Sunday gave him the word, look, Taylor's getting the votes. You can chill, like relax. I don't think at that point Sunday knew about Jay's idol, but just telling him, hey, Jay, you're fine. Because Sunday did show that she wanted to work with Jay to get out Jessica. So maybe he still has Sunday in his ear and we're not seeing that. Maybe that's to make Jay look better, that he's doing this on his own. It does help him, though, that he keeps explaining, like, look, $1 million gamble, didn't play my idol. I'm going with my intuition. So it is good that we are getting at least, an explanation for it.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, do you think there's a swing vote this season? If so, who? I think there's a swing vote every vote, but I don't think it's going to be the same person because I don't think that there's like one person who's in the middle this season, where normally there's one or two people who are kind of on the outside. It could be Jay and Will, but that would require them to never get a target on their backs, and they have to be two of the biggest physical threats at least.
Yeah, I mean, in the first hour last week, it was Zeke and Hannah were like right in the middle of that Chris boot. Mm-hmm. They could have gone either way. That's, as much as a swing vote as you can be. As it continues, though, if Zeke and David both make it through this episode, then we're down to 8, and there's people, and there's so many options for swing votes. Like, everyone is honestly a swing vote at that point. Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty interesting way to look at that. Is everybody is a swing vote? So at that point, you have Will and Jay. Will and Jay have allegiances to nobody. I think Sunday and Brett can flip over whenever they want. We got to remember, Brett and Sunday are Gen Xers, and they didn't vote with Ken and David, but I think they still had. We didn't see anything negative. They didn't fight or anything. And I think, didn't Sunday vote off Paul too? Yeah. So, and maybe now that Jessica's gone, Sunday is more open to working with Ken and David. I think that's possible. So, Adam, of course, like, he's been in the middle this whole time. He's been a swing vote for a majority of the post merge. So, that first the Michelle boot, I think Adam was right in the middle. He was trying to be. Yeah. No, I think if there's been a swing vote, it's been him most of the time. Adam Heinrichs, one does not simply vote out 6 people within 8 days, or can they? It's day 31 when the next episode starts. This is going to be crazy, like, the ending here. I think the closest we've had to this was Cambodia, where there's a lot of people going back to back to back to back. This is going to be pretty intense, and they had to have loved who they had left at this. But not that there could have been really a bad final 8 from this season or final 9 from this season, but they had to have loved when they look at day 31 and they're like, we got to boot these people like one right after the other. But man, do we have like a great final 9 left to do this. Yeah, it's crazy that we still have 9 people left. It's 9 people at day 31. That's insane. Crazy. So yeah, the 6-person finale, that's wild. So we have 3 normal tribal councils and then a final tribal council. So I assume we're getting a double boot, not this week, but the next week. That's got to be There has to be a double boot. There has to be. Unless for some reason Adam walks out of the game this week because he hears something about his mom. That's possible too. Yeah. So Adam Heinrichsen says, is Zeke destined for the day 38 boot? I know you were saying you think it's probably going to be Zeke or Jay. I can see Adam falling there too. I think it's going to be one of those 3 with an outside shot of David. Yeah, I think it's likely going to be David or Jay, actually. Just whoever, if Jay loses immunity, then it's him. Jay wins immunity, it's David. But again, that's pretty far out prediction. I don't know. Adam Heinrich, do you think there could be another rock draw this season? If so, how and when? I definitely doubt it. I would say, like, absolutely no, because the thing is, the people just saw Jessica. I love that, though. We're going to be at 8 and 6. Those are 2, like, perfect times to go to rocks. And, the deeper you go, I think it's more, beneficial. It helps you more. Yeah, it's a better move to do it at 8 or 6, because when you're so far away at 10, it's like, why are you – you're just putting yourself on the line for no reason, because there's so many things that can change. If it's like down to 6 and it's like, all right, I mean, it's like 50-50 shot, $1 million, that's, let's do it. That would be insane. That'd be hilarious.
I just think with how Jessica went, I don't think anybody's going to have the mind power to do that. Adam Heinrichs, fun fact, only 3 people are left from the summit, David, Jay, and Will. So there you go. David, the only one who really got edited at the summit. Joof Probst with a picture of Jeff Probst. What do you think about Sunday's edit? We've pretty much talked about Sunday's edit. It's not really there.
She's got the helicopter edit.
She got the helicopter edit, and she got like a little bit of strategy out of nowhere edit. And then Krebs Park, what is the legacy thing all about? The one Jessica got. Have we come to a conclusion, you and me, on what we think this is yet?
Yeah, we think it's an advantage at the final immunity challenge. Mm-hmm. Actually.
Or do you think it's a jury thing?
Well, wait a second. Now that when does it get revealed? Because originally I was like day 36. I was like, wow, that is late in this game to get an advantage. There's probably 4 people left on day 36. There might be 7 people left on day 36. So maybe it's not as powerful as I thought. That does change things. Until I hear otherwise, I'm assuming it's an advantage in immunity challenge, the day 36 immunity challenge.
Mm-hmm. Angry Chelsea fan. We're back over to YouTube now. So Angry Chelsea fan. I'm on Team David, by the way. What happened to Brad? He became awful at Tribal. Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much said that. Peak. At least now we'll see Jessica's advantage again, but it sucks she left. I think she'd be a fun returnee depending on the twist. Maybe in a few seasons with more newbies, since Game Changers would be all returnees. And then Wentz Acosta says if they ever did Heroes versus Villains 2, I could see her as a hero. Playoff not wanting to send anyone home, maybe. I mean, Jessica did come across as a very positive person on this season. I mean, she's definitely more hero than villain, and I wouldn't be surprised if they called her a hero for.
Oh, she would be on the hero tribe, absolutely.
Like, for sure. I mean, she drew rocks to save her closest ally, essentially.
Yeah, and just, again, the reactions from everybody, not just her closest allies, from everyone was just like, oh, man, like, Jessica got it. Like, that's brutal. Like, if Will gets it, they're probably like, oh, sorry, man. Good game, bro. But, like, Jessica, people were, like, physically reacting in ways where it's like, damn, she really was a hero.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, David should have played his idol for Hannah. That way Zeke goes home. I have nothing against Zeke. I still like him, but he's too dangerous at this point. Yeah, I don't know. David played that idol for himself and then had to be convinced to play it for somebody else. I don't even think he was. I think he was too. It was like he's so neurotic and Hannah's so neurotic. So, like, how do you convince a very, very neurotic person that you're actually in trouble when he's already looking at you saying you're the spitting image of me, just of the opposite sex? Like, God, that had to have been like a nightmare. So, I mean, at least Adam was like, I know a lot of people are giving Adam crap for like, why would it be Ken? Why would it be Ken? But like, the thing is, like, at least Adam knew it wasn't going to be David. Like, he had to say, don't play it for yourself. That's a complete waste, because everybody knew that was a complete waste.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he got the first one, but that's what he heard.
It's not like David went up there and said, I'm playing this for Hannah, and Adam's like, no, play it for Ken. It was like, no, David, don't play this for yourself.
Yeah.
And, Adam took a shot in the dark, I guess, with Ken. Heard Ken's name.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Gamer Girl, as someone who's weirdly obsessed with invisible edits, here we go. I can officially now say there's no on this season. Jessica wasn't talking for a while. She went home last night. Ken not talking mostly, but we're seeing him, and we're getting more from Sunday, Will, and Brett. This has been one of the better edited seasons, and I'm sure there's some numbers that'll prove that it's not that well edited, because I know, like, every time we think there's a well-edited season, somehow it's not. I think that this has just been phenomenally edited, like, in terms of getting to know the actual characters on the show. Sunday, Brett, and Will are your least visible players, and, like, I think you have a pretty good grasp on, like, who they are.
Brett, you could probably take Brett out of that now, honestly. I think it's
Will
he
grew
Sunday.
So much.
I think the only real invisible edit was Lucy until her boot episode. That was, what was that, 3 straight episodes?
Yeah.
Without
that was
a confessional.
Bizarre.
Just not on the screen at all. That was your invisible edit.
Mm-hmm. CVV guys, I think I know why Sunday told Hannah to vote for Ken. Sunday was under the false impression that Hannah asked who the alliance was voting for because Hannah was considering changing her vote in fear of causing a tie. Sunday thought there was a better chance of her voting for Ken than David, the leader who was talking to Hannah all that day. That would cause a 5-4-1 vote, and Hannah would have been blindsided. Fortunately for Sunday, it didn't work out, but still was a pretty good move and caused the intense pulling of rocks. I didn't even think about that.
But you can't. Well, no, you can't in the revote. You can't put your vote on anybody else. You have to vote.
Well,
for
no,
either.
he was saying in the first vote, Sunday was trying to get Hannah to vote for Ken so that they would still have 5 votes on Hannah, and then it would be 4 votes on.
Oh, I thought Ken's name. I guess. Okay. Yeah. No. That. Hey, that is a good move by Sunday.
Didn't even think about that.
She's the strategic mastermind.
Yeah. And then
there was
CVB.
so much whispering. There's so much whispering going around that whole entire tribal, and I really don't know why. When it was like a 5-5 deadlock, like I really don't know what alliances were really settling at that point. And I mentioned this in the recap. I still really don't have a good answer. Like why were Adam and Hannah whispering? It's like they know they're voting Zeke. That's it. And also, this is something we said in the recap that we were wrong about. We said rocks were never mentioned. David did mention rocks.
Okay.
In before tribal. So I think it was just so far about our minds. Like they're not going to rocks. Like there's no reason for any of these people to go to rocks. We just kind of forgot about it. We're like, okay, it's not happening. Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, we were. CVB then gives his power rankings. Gamer Girl, tired of people saying that the same thing that happened in San Juan del Sur is going to happen this season with 2 power players rivals going back to back. It's not going to happen. True, Chris and Jessica were rivals. We didn't see enough of them to consider them power players. Chris kind of was, but that's only because he was the leader of his alliance. And then once Acosta says, I legit see Zeke taking out David without his idol now, then everyone blindsides Zeke's while he's enjoying the victory.
That could happen. With San Juan del Sur, though, it was just crazy because they went right at the merge back to back. Like just boom, boom, Josh, Jeremy. And then we were left with the whole post-merge of no one really significant at all other than Natalie. This, at least, it's like, okay, we have Zeke and David both making it through. They were warring for each other for that whole episode, and they both made it out. So one of them will at least make it to, final 8. And also, we also have more other players. We have people like Jay, Adam, Hannah, who are also playing hard. So even if those 2 players do go back to back, we won't have a bore of a season like San Juan del Sur.
There's a couple winner edit rankings for people here, and I'm only saying this because this is a new commenter. Zerency Games. Tell me how to pronounce that, because if you're going to keep commenting, I should probably learn how to say that one a little right. Anyway, Anderson Fraser. Am I the only one that saw Sunday scold Brett for saying things to David about anxiety? Very funny. Describes the relationship. Yeah, there's a couple great screenshots of that tribal with like Sunday telling Brett to stop, and like that one where like Hannah and Adam are whispering and Brett's like leaning over them so obnoxiously. Like Brett pulled out like his nervous, I'm gonna yell at people till they stop doing what they're doing thing. I have no control.
Yeah, he was freaked out. I think he knew they were going to rocks, and he's just like, get me out of here. Yeah,
exactly. Kuniochi Forever 4. The Hannah interaction with Zeke made me 95% sure she cannot win. Plus, she just lost Zeke's vote because no one be able to respect a game of that after the convo. I'm sorry, but Zeke wasn't even trying to push her. What'd she do if she actually played more aggressive? It seems like she'd just spill all the beans. That was a weird moment. She really like panicked.
Yeah, I don't think Zeke was being too aggressive. He was just like pretty much blatant, like, okay, you got a confessional right after. This is an ally I've been working with for a month. He didn't say these exact words, but this is essentially what it was. Like, this is my best ally. I'm not working with her. I'm writing her name down. Immediately rounds up everybody that he has and says, we're writing Hannah. Like, just in an instant. And I think that was more of like the villain coming out of Zeke. I don't think that conversation was so bad from Zeke. It was weird, though, that Hannah just any words together to try to calm this. And maybe she knew right away that she had no chance with Zeke. Like, Zeke found her out.
Yeah. Trent Canpy, I see Jay, Will, or Brett winning because of their edit. I can only see Jay out of those 3. So, Wences Acosta, no comment on the season this video. But I do want to say this is a positive on you guys. I apologize for so many questions in one comment, but it's because of all the channels I'm subscribed to. You are one of the few who actually interact with the viewers. So that's good. We're trying. Now we're getting a lot. We got to start. We got to figure out a way. We got like 100 comments on this video. I'm trying to like make sure I get everybody except the MVP, LVP reads. This is always a fun thing. Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, it's fun to point out things that we haven't said or seen. But Jeff Steinberg, I don't think that this is likely, but it's possible to surpass Cambodia, Tocantins, Cagayan, or Micronesia in terms of how good it is. It won't top heroes versus villains. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do a season rankings at the end of this. I think we might do a 3-person episode on that.
Yeah, I'll get Alexa on board, get some fresh, completely different ranking than us, especially because
she's going to.
Yeah, because you and me are, we're both the same age, we're both like males, we kind of are into the same things, and we talk about the game all the time. We influence each other's opinions. So to get Alexa's season rankings and winter rankings and all that'll be fun to do.
Yeah, that's going to be one of our first ones at the end of this season. So we actually have something that you guys can base it on too, since we have not thrown in any of the seasons we've talked about into our official rankings. We only did a rankings before season 30. So like you guys don't know where any of our full seasons actually rank.
Yeah. Worlds Apart is not cracking the top 25 for me.
Yeah, I don't think so either. CVB, I think whoever the designated cook of the tribe is doesn't have enough time to socialize with others as everybody else. I read in interviews that Lucy did the majority of cooking, and after she left, Ken has noticeably less airtime. From this episode, it appears he took over the job of cook. It's interesting.
Yeah, hey, that's a theory. But you could also build, your social prowess by, providing people food and they rely on you, and get a little psychological there. But maybe it helps, maybe it hurts. Who knows?
All right, this next one, I love this comment for so many reasons, but this comment pretty much sums up how long Survivor's been on and how great like this show is. CVB says something interesting. Rewatching Africa in episode 3, Carl commented on the younger people in his tribe's lack of work ethic and how he's so proud to not be a part of Generation X.
Of course. Every generation rips on the generation below them, and it's just how it is.
I just love, though, this show has been on for so long that they're doing Generation X versus Millennials and trying to play up the Generation X people as the hardest working. They worked for everything in their lives. But back on season 3, you had the old people complaining about the people in Generation X never working for a thing in their life. And I mean, that's obviously going to be how old people view younger people all the time because things just change. But I just think it's so great that he mentions it as Generation X. And now we're being told like 30 seasons later, Generation X has worked for everything in their lives. It's just really funny to see how like the things change because this has been on for so long.
Yeah, it's great. It is a tribute to just how long the show really is. Because sometimes you don't even think about it. Like, I think I was 8 when it was on, like 8 years old when I was like watching season 1 of Survivor, and it's like had a large influence on my life, and I'm sure yours too. And hey, Survivor, man, that's why we love it.
Think about. I just want to draw this one more thing to Africa. Think about this now. If the 4 young people who are actually in Generation X were on this season, it would be Silas, Lindsay, Brandon, and Kim Powers. Anybody who's like watched that season recently, tell me how they would fit in with the people like Chris and like Jessica and like Ken. Like, it's so crazy to think like those were the Gen X people and they grew up to.
Well, that's who they grow into.
No, they probably grew up to be like this. But when you watch that season, it's so funny because they're so lazy and so arrogant and just so brutal, and it's so satisfying when they go. God, it's so much. It's so funny. It's just really funny.
Now we're giving this theme like a lot of like weight. We're saying, hey, this is actually a great theme because we've ripped on this theme pretty much since we first heard it. It's a silly sounding theme, but I mean, with that conversation they got with Brett and Zeke, that must have been absolute gold for the productions to talk about different generations and how Generation X paved the way for millennial gay people to come out and all this stuff. I mean, the theme really is, I think, it's better than we thought. And it maybe holds, there is some good millennial versus Gen X rivalry that's actually authentic and not just, forced. Because we say it all the time. The themes are just to market the show and get new people and maybe start some controversy. And it really depends on the cast and the players. But the theme has played out nicely here. I will give credit to this theme.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Steinberg, who do you think will find the idol? I'm surprised they didn't make a big deal about it in the scenes. You think they're going to hide another one, Will, or no?
I don't think so.
I think it's too late. And they know 2 are still out there. Like,
yeah, if those idols had been played, or even if one of them, like if Adam played his idol and wasted it 2 episodes ago, then I think that would have been rehidden, or maybe they'd rehide one now. But to have 3 idols at final 9, I think it's a lot.
Yeah. Butts rule. Who do you guys think would win in a final 3 of Jay, Hannah, and Adam? I mean, it depend on how they all get there, but I would say probably Jay. But
I think Jay would win. I think Adam and Hannah would split their votes. Ken, who would you toss a vote at, Adam or Hannah? Probably to Hannah.
Go Adam.
Oh, that's why it'd be tough. I think Adam and Hannah would probably split the nerdy cool or the nerdy vote, and then Jay would round up all the cool kid votes. And Jay, again, I said this before, but to the finals, I don't know who he loses to. Mm-hmm. Maybe David. If it's Jay and David at the finals, that would be a toss-up. But anyone else, I think Jay smokes in a jury vote.
Yeah. Christopher Doucette, Hannah told David she just had a feeling it was going to be her. I don't know that I'd base my idol play on a feeling. She messed up so bad lying to Zeke. If David knew how sketchy she was acting with Zeke, he may have had more reason to play it on her. Earlier this episode, Hannah told David that he was the target.
Yeah, I mean, if you're David, it's a tough spot to play. It's such a gamble. Ken was out of nowhere, though. I mean, good job on Sunday. That shocked me that he's like, Ken. And I was like, wait, maybe Ken gets votes here. And I'm like, we haven't seen any reason to think Ken's getting votes.
Yeah. Haven't gotten like any inclination. Christopher Doucette again, I don't see why David can't wait before he says who he's playing it for. You're allowed to have full conversations after Jeff asks if there are any idols. Even when Perv did it, she played one, sat back down on the chaos, and then pulled out another one. Same deal.
I guess. I'd have to rewatch that. I think you gotta go up to Jeff. I don't think you can sit back down and then change, because once you play it, people are gonna react, and that's like, I don't know, it's a little bit cheap, honestly. And like, I think for just the integrity of the game, you don't want to, win this game that I love by faking someone out and seeing their facial reaction. Like, I don't think that's like a good, it might sound like a good move. I think it should be illegal, It's just me, though. It's my opinion.
Yeah. It's not a bad point, but, it's the same thing as the people who complain Ponderosa that everybody gets to talk to each other because, like, they influence each other's votes. Like, it just happens.
Mm-hmm. That's just. I mean, I agree that happens, but there's just no way to combat that. For this, there's an easy way to combat it. You just say you have to. If you stand up, you have to say who you're playing it for within 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Dennis O'Connell, what are your thoughts on Zeke and Hannah speaking to Jess when the revote is taking place? I thought you weren't allowed to do that, and even so, it's not cool to be doing that.
Oh, I think that's totally fine. You gotta, when there's a revote, you gotta be doing everything you can to get someone to flip. I'm totally cool with that. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun too. The way, like, I mean, yeah, you should be like, it's your desperate effort. Just keep poking.
Yeah.
Dennis O'Connell, again, cannot believe Adam and David went to rocks for Hannah. It's not like it was Jess or Ken being targeted. Like Will said, are they really going to risk their game for Hannah? I'm sure as hell wouldn't, LOL. If Adam or David went home, where would you rank it on worst Survivor moves? Man, if Adam went home, it would have been really bad. If David goes home, not so bad. I think if Adam goes home with the idol in his pocket, really for somebody he's not that close with, I think it's like pretty
I don't know. I mean, I agree. I think it's David, though, if it happened with David, I think it's much worse, and here's why. He was, at the time, like a front runner to win, where Adam wasn't. So that's number one. And then number two, David misplayed his idol vote. Like, that he did 2 things wrong that led him, to get voted off. So when you waste an idol, when you could have played it for yourself and prevented yourself from drawing rocks in the first place, I think that's much worse than Adam saying, okay, he's 1 of 6. He's going to, take the risk. If he makes it through this one, he still has his idol, and he can try to get to the end. I think David would be way worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, that makes sense. I just think, like, when you're out there, you think you're always I think you probably think you were always the leader to win if you're playing the game. Like, I don't think Adam's sitting there going, well, David's playing a better game than me right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
For sure. And I'm just talking more from like the fan reaction and when we do rankings of dumbest moves, I'm up very, very high on that list just because it was like, wow, he was going to win if he hadn't done this. Whereas Adam, it wouldn't be that way. So,
yeah. Dana Lonehill, I'm on the Jay train. I totally went in thinking I would stick with my fellow Gen Xers, but Jay has proven that by being a lone wolf, he should be the winner. He has got some balls. Yeah, Jay's been – I mean, I'm glad people are starting to turn to Jay a little bit.
It's turning around. Can we at least kill the thing? Like, Michaela did not give him zero chance to win the game. Can we at least, like, put that one to bed?
Yeah.
Maybe. We probably will never.
I did.
I know. Well, we put it to bed right after it happened. And it's all we heard for two podcasts. But, hey, it's good to see people are waking up to Jay.
Jeff Steinberg, what if the final four, Will, Hannah, Brett, and Sunday, are they that would be the final four. That would be the four who were invisible pre-merge. That would be the worst final four out of this possibility.
Yeah, and Hannah wins easily.
Easily. Jeff Steinberg, I like this rock draw, but the best one was in Blood vs. Water. I mean, every rock draw is dramatic, so they're all fun. Kunoichi Forever 4. For me, just based on the fact that Will had more airtime in a preview than in most of the episodes combined, I think he has a good chance of being voted out. The next danger for me are David and Zeke. Both made themselves into huge threats, and I don't feel like people who won the last few seasons got as much edit as these two. For me, Ken has the winner at it. And next, I'd put Hannah. She's in a good spot to survive, but she's very skilled in making herself into a target. So I'm not going to underestimate that skill of hers. Then I'd put Jay because I can see a scenario in which Adam will play their idol for David, but with a condition they take out his arch nemesis. Most safe for me, Adam, Sunday, Brett, Ken. I don't think Adam ever plays his idol for anybody other than Adam. There's no way. Like, never.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Do you think if Adam does have to leave the game after this family visit, does he give his idol to anybody?
No, he takes it home. He already said he has something to show his mom.
Oh, right. He did say that.
Ferris Al-Subi. Let's just say Adam destroy that jury. That would be fun. The Real Negro. Have you seen the secret scene of Ken catching the fish and making dinner for everyone? Wish they would put that scene in, but I guess they don't want to make it too obvious who is going to win. I don't know. I think,
or maybe he doesn't win.
Maybe that's what it is. Real Negro, when you guys eventually get on the show and they ask you which player you most like, who would you guys pick and why? That's always a fun one that we always give a different answer to. I feel like every time. Will says Fabio every single time, but Will would not be like Fabio once he actually.
I do a Fabio mix. I'm not the surfer, like athletic bro-y type, but in terms of gameplay, I would do as much to resemble the actual. I would have a social game like Fabio, and I'm not terrible in challenges. Well, if you watch the video on our channel with Jeff, then I am pretty bad. I beat Phil and all the other ones. I was just nervous, man. I had Jeff Probst on my team. I mean, that had my heart racing. Who else would kind of mix in? I don't know. Probably, yeah, that's the best. Maybe Rob Sesternino too, just because why not? Like, he's like the nerdy, non-athletic guy. Mix that with Fabio and his social game. That's probably who I would more like be.
I think I've said like different people every time, but like I always say Eric Reichenbach. Although I would never give up immunity. I think Eric Reichenbach played like one of the most underrated games ever. And then I'm just like so sarcastic though that it would come across somewhat Tyson-y. Like, I'm very, very sarcastic. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are.
You know, yeah. So Hydro Death. Wait, how Will is talking about distancing himself from Jay, and in the preview for the next episode where Will is talking about wanting to play the game hard, I think Will is going to play himself out of this game. I think a lot of people are starting to think that.
Yeah, I think that too. I got him number 8 in my power rankings, only ahead of Brett. I think both of them are really at risk this week.
GZG Abuse. I predict David and Zeke will take each other out back-to-back like Josh and Jeremy. Then Jay 100% wins, and I will 100% throw up. And Will 100% troll everybody.
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. I can't wait for the Jay win. It's going to happen, folks.
Milk Cap this season is excellent. That's all I have to say. Hey, that's all you need to say. Gamer Girl, this is partially related to the season, but since the finale is quickly approaching, I want to ask this now. Do you think they'll reveal the cast of the reunion since next season is an all-star season, or do you think they'll reveal the cast in January like usual? I think they might reveal it. I mean, for this season, they showed people, and for Co-Wrong, they showed people. Like, they didn't show everybody, but they showed some.
I think they'll do a brief intro, and I think we might get like a Tony, a Sandra in there, the real legends. But the cast, people can find the cast. They're obviously not going to do the whole bios and interviews and videos until we get, closer to the actual premiere of season 34. But I wouldn't be surprised if they highlight, probably Ozzy, Suri, just those big players to get people excited.
Yeah. AT&T, do you guys think Ken will have the one good episode because he gets the legacy advantage and then fall back into the background? You guys feel like we'll be getting more from him this point on? I think you'll probably get more from him this point on because you'll get the legacy advantage this next episode, and then there's only 2 more episodes left. So, like, they're not going to have an invisible person in one of the last 2 episodes. They very rarely do.
Right. And I think Ken is going to make it to the final 3.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe that. Just because it's such a, I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to make it there. And he's going to be like kind of the respectable loser that comes out of this.
AT&T, have you guys ever played the Survivor Wii game? I never have. I barely even knew that existed. Played all the other ones, though.
Yeah.
They're bad.
I did not know that until now.
Gamer Girl, why didn't Jeff say that the soft drinks were for Will in Wednesday's episode? It should have become a regular thing, and why were there no soft drinks for Will during the pizza reward? I know. They got to keep drawing attention to this.
Well, Will didn't go on them, so,
Yeah, he didn't, but still. AT&T, who out of all the people left do you think Ken could beat in a final 3? I think he could beat Sunday, Brett, and Will. And maybe Adam.
That's it. Maybe Zeke, too.
Maybe, depending on if Zeke and Adam keep being villainous or if they turn it around. Because I think they're probably going to turn it around. Gamer Girl. Let's see. We already read that one. I apologize. Nope, we already read that one. Hey, AT&T. Hey, Phil and Will, I'm pretty sure you guys would have answered this. So close to day 36. What do you think the advantage is? We kind of talked about that. It could be anything, though. I mean, there's the vote, the double vote, the vote steal, which I think it's too late.
It's too late to toss that in.
It's either got to be the jury member, I think, or an advantage in a challenge.
I think it could be something new. We did see the, reward steal come out of nowhere. But I don't think it can be the jury thing because that seems, I don't know. It's like, it's a double legacy advantage. Like you get it day 36 and then you have to make it to the final 3 and then you have to get rid of a jury member. So I don't think we're going to do the jury member thing this season. There's just not enough time. Like they just don't have, they had their own separate tribal council for that last season. We have to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It's already going to be 4 tribal councils in the finale, so I don't think we can afford a 5th.
That's true. Nick R., East Coaster, staying up for the podcast tonight. Do you guys see a resemblance to this final 9 and the Cook Islands final 9? Almost clear 5-4 split with Penner flipping, and it seems like Will be the Penner. Also, I can see David, Ken, Hannah 1-for-1 with Yul, Ozzy, and Becky. No, Hannah's so much better than Becky. So much better.
And I don't think it's a clear-cut 5-4, like in the slightest.
Yeah. Brant Nelson, do you think Will could make final 3? I really don't. I just don't see him getting there.
But the other Will did, and that didn't seem like he was getting there. So who knows? Yeah.
I just don't feel like this Will would be a GOAT if he made it to final 3. I feel like he's going to be like Carter and go at like 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's going pretty soon, it feels like.
Yeah.
Feels like his time's about up.
AT&T, so sad you guys don't think Ken can win anymore. I still really like him and want him to win. You guys think if he gets a couple really good episodes that he could still win? I mean, he could work his way back in, but I'm giving him like a 5% chance, if that.
He can't win.
Yeah, I mean, Will's been saying that since day one. Once Acosta, watching live, I have a legit question. How many times have the strategy worked on voting your allies out just to get a final tribal council vote? Yes, Zeke voting out Chris was idiotic because he had no power, but if by miracle he makes final tribal council, almost guaranteed Chris is 1 vote as soon as we see as seen with the Boomer Sooner exit. Also, I called someone being a puzzle threat, but didn't know who. Glad to see it's Jay.
Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't start counting jury votes that early. That was final 11. you got so many other things to worry about. I don't think that's really what Zeke was going after. Maybe with that last line, he's like, oh, in case he's on the jury. But I don't think you go voting. Look, you want to play a game where you want to get everybody's jury. You want to play a Jeremy game. You want to play a JT game where it's like people who weren't in your alliance are still voting for you because you played that good of a game. And I would focus all my efforts on that and not trying to, snag jury votes along the way. I don't think you're playing a winning game if you're doing that.
Yeah, and I did think it was interesting, though, with Chris walking out, showing like, yeah, I still respect you, Zeke, even though you just completely blindsided me with the boomer sooner thing. I thought that was a really cool moment.
Well, he could have thought it was Hannah, right?
I think he knew it was Zeke. Did you watch the Ponderosas?
I did.
I mean, he doesn't explicitly say it, but I think he knows it was Zeke.
Yeah, I think he probably put it together.
Yeah. Anthony Beam, do you think if the situation calls for it, Zeke and Hannah will work together again? I mean, I would never count them out because when they were yelling at each other, they ended up working together again. So, I would never count them out as working together.
I'm not counting out anybody working with anybody. It just keeps going where it's that circle we made, Alexa and I made, or I guess we edited a commenter's circle at the merge where it was like everyone's connected to everybody, and you could probably draw another circle right now if you wanted to. I'm too tired to do that, but maybe
we only have 4 comments left, so stay awake. We only have 4 comments left. CVB, oh no, I lost. Will in also thinking Jay will win. I can see Ken going out like Kelly Wigglesworth. They never show him her likable, but they end up going home. I mean, they've shown Ken as likable. Wigglesworth, they really didn't show. They've definitely shown Ken as likable.
Yeah, we gotta remember, Ken pre-merge was like big character, major character. What did he say about me and Jay? Is he kind of opening up to it or no? Can't figure out what he's saying.
To be honest, I don't really know what that means. Anyway, Brant Nelson, what if Will does get the final 3? I think he loses.
Yeah. If he does, he's a GOAT, I think, though. And I know you said I think people don't trust Will whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kayla Hunt 09, Adam is my favorite player, but I think Ken is going to win because he's not making anyone angry. I also think Jay is in a good spot. Glad to see Adam still has fans out there,
Oh, yeah.
Good. Brian, are we going to have a double vote out episode? Still so many people playing. Just not this week, I don't think. I think it'll just be next week.
It could pull on us, though. Maybe it's back to back double boosts.
That would
go
be
to a finale with 5.
Yeah, that would give me a headache.
I haven't a preview yet. I haven't seen the new preview.
It was like 10 seconds long. It was just Adam saying, like, I can steal whatever. Yeah. I don't know. So, that's it. Those are all the comments.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. That's it. That's why I stopped. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, all right.
We survived.
Another podcast that was done on pretty low sleep, but this season gets me going because, man, we loved it pre-merge, and I think a lot of people were kind of lukewarm on it. But after those last 2 hours, I think everyone should be really excited about this season because it's just I'm having so much fun with it, and hope you are too. Oh, I got to do the boot list.
Oh yeah, you made that promise early on.
Yeah. Okay. Do this quickly. So I don't have all of them ranked, but the people who are at the top, I did theirs quickly before. So we have Trey Corby with 38, Crimson Unicorn with 43, Tori Cosgrove 44, Michael Feeney with 45, and then David Purcell, Edwin Hernandez, Tori Cosgrove, my man Nathan, and then Dave Hennessy all have 50. So those 6th place people at 50, they still are 12 points behind Trey Corby with 38. So that's going to be tough to make up. And again, you want the lowest score. So Trey Corby's boot list is really quite impressive. Let's see if I can pull this up here.
Maybe Trey Corby is Adam's pseudonym for this.
Yeah, Adam's fake account, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, this boot list is so good. The final 8 is Adam, Will, Jay, Hannah, Michaela, Jessica, and then Zeke and Ken. Like
Wow.
it's pretty, yeah. And Sunday's at 10, so like no one's up too high. So I think Trey Corby probably has this thing locked up. Crimson Unicorn though, Crimson Unicorn's in it. Got Zeke, Ken, Mari, David, Will, Adam, Chris. So Chris kind of hurt Crimson there. But it'll be fun to see who gets the buff, and then we'll get the prop bet game updated when Phil's computer is fixed.
Yeah.
All right, Phil, you got anything else?
No, we'll see you Wednesday after the episode.
Yeah, I'll see you Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. We really appreciate that, and then like the video too if you'd like. Thanks a lot.